Now, since 2010, the office leasing market has been climbing until the end of 2016. And in 2017, it's been a bit of a bumpy ride, but the basic trajectory has been flat or low. And just to give you some stats, it's a 500 million square foot market, the Manhattan office leasing market, but we had what's called negative absorption of about 1.5 million feet, which is obviously not massive when you're talking about a 500 million square foot market. And so really why this matters is because, landlords are anxious. I think the other thing that's been happening since the last big drop is that there's been this contraction in both the financial industry and the law industry.
In New York?
In New York, yeah, in Manhattan in particular. And what's really sucked up a lot of oxygen since 2009, 2010 has been the technology market. I mean, if you look at it, Google did not have anywhere near the kind of presence that they have in New York, 8 years ago. Amazon is just gobbling up space like Pac-Man here. Facebook keeps gobbling up space. Twitter has an entire building. And then these are just the big sort of household name tech firms. There are a million other tech firms that are sort of supporting, other service firms here in New York and are consumer-based tech firms that are, gobbling up a lot of space. But the difference is that now what you're seeing is a lot of that venture capital money is starting to dry up, and a lot of those businesses are not expanding quite as fast. So everything is sort of, people are there's a little more anxiety in the market. And then the one other sort of factoid just to be aware of, which I think could be helpful for lawyers, particularly if they're looking in Midtown or downtown Manhattan, is that what's really interesting about the last 8 years is that all the cool neighborhoods of Manhattan have really surpassed sort of the more established markets like Midtown and downtown. So, by way of example, I did a deal, on 21st Street between Park Avenue South and Broadway, right, in a nothing building, and the rent was at $70 a foot, right? And now I'm doing a deal in the Gray Bar building, which is filled to the gills with lawyers, right, at 420 Lexington Avenue for $63 a foot. Right, so here you have the Gray Bar building, which is sort of like one of these iconic, 100-year-old New York buildings attached to Grand Central Station. Many people have been in it or know about it. And then you have a nothing building that nobody's ever heard of, 35 East 21st Street in, Flatiron. Tumblr's in the building, and that rent is more expensive than the rent in the Gray Bar building.